Embattled Jet Airways halted all flight operations indefinitely on Wednesday, April 17, after its lenders rejected its plea for emergency funds, potentially bringing the curtains down on what was once India's largest private airline. Reports say it's over $1 billion in debt, and it failed to secure a loan to save itself. Its pilots and employees have gone unpaid for weeks. The union representing Jet's ground staff says employees are struggling.
There's an environment of stress at home. Some have old parents who have medical expenses, school fees for children. Some have kids studying abroad. Some people have taken housing loans, but their payments are bouncing because they don't have any money.
The carrier, saddled with roughly $1.2 billion in bank debt, has been teetering for weeks after failing to receive a stopgap loan of about $217 million from its lenders, part of a rescue deal agreed in late March. For now, distraught employees of the airline had reached out to Prime Minister Narendra Modi to save the cash-starved airline. They gathered in large numbers to participate in a protest in New Delhi last week.
I just want to request our Prime Minister, Mr. Modi, to help us in this crisis. And I want to assure the lenders that you invest in us employees and look at the spirit we have, and you won't regret it. That's my message.
Failure would threaten more than 16,000 staff jobs and thousands more tied to the airline, which at its peak operated over 120 planes and more than 600 daily flights.
The management of Jet Airways is still at the same stage, that if they are getting money from the State Bank of India or lenders, then they can immediately resume the operations. The only problem is that the money is not being released.
A delay of funding is going to amount to not helping the company, and that is why our appeal is quite straightforward, that timing is of essence. The banks need to intervene quick, and they need to get the airline back on its feet, and be rest assured this airline will emerge out of it.
Intense competition from low-cost carriers like Interglobe-owned Indigo and SpiceJet Limited, together with higher oil prices, hefty fuel taxes and a weak rupee, have piled pressure on the airline in recent months.
Newsflash begins with two unions in the aviation sector commending President Muhammadu Buhari for signing the new 30,000 naira minimum wage into law. The unions, namely the Air Transport Services Senior Staff Association and the National Union of Air Transport Employees. The heads of the union say the development is so good for the sake of stability of the economy because the increase will take care of the cost of living that has risen over a period of time. Therefore, it's a good thing for Nigerian labor and the Nigerian workers. Capitan Helicopters Limited says it's undergoing a digital upgrade courtesy global aviation software provider Ramco Systems. Apart from reducing manpower and human error, the suite will also improve maintenance schedules, fleet forecasting and planning, and management of logistics, thereby improving overall safety and efficiency. Away from Nigeria to Kenya, where Kenya Airways has lost 130 pilots to Middle East Airlines in the past 1 year because of poor pay, and that's according to the Kenya Airline Pilots Association. The Pilots Association refuted claims by Kenya Airways CEO Sebastian Michels that they were the best paid in Africa and that their compensation took a large share of the airline's income. The association told the National Assembly Transport and Housing Committee last week that Kenya Airways had 430 pilots and 200 heads short of capacity. And on the foreign scene, the United States Federal Aviation Administration has said a joint governmental review of the now grounded Boeing 737 MAX will begin on April the 29th and will include 9 other aviation regulators from around the world. The FAA said earlier this month that it was forming an international team to review the safety of the aircraft grounded worldwide following 2 deadly crashes in Indonesia in October 2018 and in Ethiopia last month that killed nearly 350 people. Boeing has announced a planned software update on the 737 MAX to prevent erroneous data from triggering an anti-stall system known as MCAS that is under scrutiny following the 2 disastrous nose-down crashes. Boeing has announced it's making steady progress on the path to certifying a software update on the aircraft.
Where our talented test pilots have now completed 120 737 MAX flights, totaling more than 203 hours of airtime with the updated Maneuvering Characteristics Augmentation System, or MCAS, software. We're making steady progress towards certification. Yesterday, we completed the official engineering flight test of the updated software with our technical and engineering leaders on board the airplane. That was the final test flight prior to the certification flight. In addition, earlier today, I had the opportunity to participate in another demonstration flight and saw firsthand this software in its final form operating as designed across a range of flight conditions. And around the world, more than 85% of our 50-plus MAX customers and operators have now experienced the new software through a series of simulator sessions.
Meanwhile, China has been following the investigation of the Boeing 737 MAX 8 aircraft since the Ethiopian Airlines crash. The Civil Aviation Administration of China has maintained close communications with the Boeing company and the Federal Aviation Administration regarding the accident's investigation and relevant safety measures.
If we're going to resume the operation of an aircraft, we must confirm its airworthiness has been reapproved. Modifications to the aircraft and pilot training have been completed, and the safety problems detected in the accident investigations have been resolved. In this way, the flight safety can be guaranteed.
And finally, before we go on the program, we'll bring you a report on a risk assessment workshop supported by the International Civil Aviation Organization in Lagos. Participants at a risk assessment workshop in Lagos. This is facilitated by the International Civil Aviation Organization to ensure that aviation personnel are equipped to face current new threats.
As we have heard from the DGNCA, first and foremost is to equip our staff with the technique of analyzing risk. So once you can understand the risks that pertain to your industry, you are more than halfway into ensuring safety of operations as regards our core mandate.
Aviation remains a target with 4 major threats. Those from insiders, aviation cybersecurity, security on the ground and conflict zones. For the Airport Authority in Nigeria, being on host to an ICAO-certified aviation security center has its benefits.
That there have been attempts and in some cases even successful attacks, and we have to start by nipping it in the bud even before it starts. So risk assessment is the starting point. And that's why this program is very, very important. And Nigeria was chosen to host this first one.
This is where we take a bow on the program. Let's have your feedback via our social media platforms. See you next week. I'm Bukola Joe Oketumbi.